when you talk about January 6th, I think it's fascinating to hear you say that was sort of your moment when you didn't, the way that the Democrats were handling the January 6th investigation and the coverage of it and so on, because their whole goal, I think, and they've telegraphed as much in the New York Times, is to make people feel exactly the opposite, to shore up Democratic support and anger, to pull over more moderate Republicans who might still be supporting Trump into hating him and realizing, hashtag never again. And it's interesting to me that you were somebody who was more left leaning, who was like, no, this is having exactly the opposite effect on me. So what is it? Because so the audience knows, we're going into the last big hearing, last big hearing of the January 6th committee is tomorrow night in prime time. And they expect to call two former White House aides. I'm just looking at my notes here. Pair of Trump White House officials who quit on the spot over the Capitol insurrection. They just use that word now in every news report. They are then Deputy National Security Advisor Matthew Pottinger, then White House Deputy Press Secretary Sarah Matthews. And the understanding is they are going to speak to Trump's 2:24 p.m. tweet attacking Vice President Mike Pence for not having the courage to go along with overturning the election. The committee has played relatively little of their prior videotaped testimony, but each witness weighed in on this event in the portions that have been shown so far. We expect more of that. Again, I think this is from either Washington Post or CNN. I'm quoting, forgive me, I don't have the source in front of me. But in any event, the big finish is tomorrow. So how was it that coverage changed your mind?
Well, I had just gone on a cross-country drive by myself, which I do every year. And it had cleared my head. It got me offline. I wasn't as because I listened to a lot of, right-wing channels or whatever. And that does trigger you. You get upset. You're just like, I can't believe they did that. I can't. But I was, I had cleared my head and I was like, yeah, I need to start getting back to my, my roots. And maybe, the Democrats seem like they're focusing on something else. And then I hear they're doing a prime time hearing with a television producer that was basically they were coming into it with a guilty verdict already. And we don't do that in America, right? You have presumption of innocence. And that isn't what they did. We already know, because the minute Trump took office, they've been trying to remove him. They've been trying to find anything they could get to bring him down. So why would they think that the public would, finally they got him? But it's like, sure, if this was Watergate, everything would have gone fine. Like they would have treated Trump like an actual president, which they didn't do, not for 1 minute, not for 4 years. And then they found January 6th. Okay, maybe that seems like a valid thing. But after so many endless prosecutions of him every single day in the media, on late night comedy, in all of Hollywood, and all of their vast institutions of power, to remove this one person who'd been elected, it just, to me, was really the last straw. Like, it just looked like they slipped into a kind of authoritarianism that I think is unacceptable in this country. Even though it's Trump, even though it's someone people really hate, it's still not a precedent that we want to set. Whatever happened on January 6th should be dealt with as what happened. And just because they don't approve of Trump supporters, they still deserve to have their questions answered, that everybody in America does. So
on your Substack, you write the following. I thought this is so insightful. Cassidy Hutchinson, that was their last big star witness, the woman who worked for the chief of staff. This is the one who claimed Trump grabbed the wheel of the beast or the SUV and tried to basically strangle a Secret Service agent. She writes, you write, Cassidy Hutchinson's testimony is somewhat reminiscent of Amber Heard's. It is sincere but overly dramatic. She's pretty with a husky voice and definitely someone most people would want to believe. But of course, her story is starting to fall apart. For Hutchinson, she essentially had no career left. Trump would not hire her after he left office. Her resume wasn't going to get her much work. But to be a star witness for the left, she'll get the Liz Cheney treatment. She'll get a golden ticket into the land of the special people, the ruling class, MSNBC. She might even make the cover of Time. This, as opposed to starting out her political career as Mark Meadows' aide. She would have been tainted forever. Now, she's a star. So insightful. That's exactly right. And she got exactly, you heard the rhetoric about her, like, your grandchildren will be asking you about the name Cassidy Hutchinson and the day she testified on Capitol Hill. Okay.
I don't understand what happened to the media. I don't understand how they slipped over into this kind of, crazy propaganda movement that they exist only to sort of bolster the Democrats. Like, when did that become? I mean, I kind of know, we all know, right? In the last 4 years, it's Trump calling, antagonizing them, calling them the enemy of the people. They took a side, but you're not supposed to take a side. You're supposed to get the story.
Correct. And yet it goes. And now we're facing another election, the midterms coming up, 2024. And I thought it was pretty astute in your more recent piece on the left. You pointed out about how, hold on a second, we continue to hear the narrative about far-right nationalism. Super MAGA, Joe Biden might talk about it. The reason that stood out to me was just this past weekend, or I don't know, a short time ago, a couple weekends, the New York Times had a piece on, quote, the rise of the far-right Latina. So you can't be a Republican Latina without being, quote, far-right and get attacked by the New York Times for caring about immigration, the 2020 election, and abortion. That's what makes you far-right in the eyes of the New York Times. And there's got to be something wrong with you, obviously, because no Latino self-respecting minority of any kind would vote Republican. So this is what they do, right? As soon as, it doesn't matter what your identity credentials are, as soon as you start to sound like a right winger, you're a loon.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And that for the side that supposedly cares about equity, it's always interesting to watch them, really go after people like Larry Elder, all the terrible things that Obama said about him. And so it isn't even about that. And they pretend that it is, but it's not. It's about ideological compliance. And that's frankly a scary place to be in this country, and especially on the left. We used to stand up for free expression, subversive art, freedom of speech. And now look at the entire left. It's just they're living in a climate of fear. No one can say anything. That's why, I'm out there saying these things that, will get me screamed at, attacked. I've been called everything. I mean, nothing like what you have experienced, Megyn, but look at you now.
If you're like me, you're growing more and more concerned about the future. The market's all over the place. Don't even look. It's just depressing. And inflation's at its highest level in 40 years. Interest rates are up. Market experts are predicting a recession, and they're using terms like economic hurricane and unprecedented. You never want to hear the U word when it comes to the economy. If you want to protect your future, call a precious metal dealer I trust, American Hartford Gold. They can show you how to protect your savings and retirement accounts by diversifying. You got to diversify your portfolio with physical gold and silver. All it takes to get started is a short phone call, and they will have physical gold and silver delivered right to your door or inside your IRA or 401k. Super easy. And they keep it simple. They're the highest rated firm in the country with an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and thousands of satisfied clients. And as an exclusive offer for my fans, if you call them right now, they will give you up to $1,500 of free silver and a free safe on qualifying orders. Don't wait. Call them now. The number's 866-518-2955. 866-518-2955. Or if you prefer, you can text my name, Megyn, to 65532. Again, that's 866-518-2955 or text MEGYN to 65532. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.